What happens when Hollywood's most beloved actress comes face to face with a talk show host who crosses every line of decency? The confrontation between Jennifer Aniston and Jimmy Kimmel that unfolded on live television left audiences gasping and producers scrambling to cut to commercial. This wasn't just another celebrity interview gone wrong. This was a calculated ambush that revealed the dark side of late-night television. Before we dive into this shocking encounter, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below with your thoughts on talk show hosts who push their guests too far. The studio lights blazed down on the familiar set of Jimmy Kimmel Live as Jennifer Aniston walked out to thunderous applause. She waved graciously to the audience, her signature warmth radiating through the studio. But something was different about Kimmel that night. His usual jovial demeanor seemed forced, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. Jennifer, 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 Kimmel began, leaning back in his chair with an unsettling smugness. America's sweetheart, the woman who can do no wrong. Tell me, how does it feel to maintain that perfect image for decades? Jennifer's smile flickered slightly, but she maintained her composure. Well, Jimmy, I don't think anyone's perfect. I just try to be authentic and kind to people. Authentic, Kimmel repeated, drawing out the word mockingly. That's interesting, because I've been hearing some very interesting stories about you lately. Stories that might surprise your fans. The audience grew quiet, sensing the shift in atmosphere. Jennifer straightened in her chair, her expression becoming guarded. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Jimmy. If you have something to say, perhaps you should just say it. Kimmel's grin widened predatorily. Oh, I intend to. You see, I've been talking to some people from your past. People who worked with you on various sets. They paint a very different picture of Jennifer Aniston than the one we see in magazines. Jimmy, I came here to promote my new project, not to engage in gossip, Jennifer said firmly, her voice steady despite the obvious ambush. Is it gossip? If it's true, Kimmel shot back, pulling out a stack of papers from behind his desk. I have signed statements here from multiple crew members who claim you demanded they avoid eye contact with you on set, that you required everyone to address you through your assistant, that you once had a production assistant fired for bringing you the wrong brand of water. The accusations hung in the air, like poison. Jennifer's jaw tightened visibly. Those are absolutely false accusations, and you know it. I've worked in this industry for over 30 years, and anyone who has actually worked with me knows I treat everyone with respect. Do they, though? Kimmel pressed on, clearly enjoying himself. Because I also heard about the time you allegedly made a wardrobe assistant cry because she accidentally used the wrong shade of foundation. Or how about when you supposedly threatened to walk off set if they didn't replace the entire catering? Crew, because you didn't like how they arranged the craft services table. The audience began to murmur uncomfortably. This wasn't the light-hearted banter they had expected. This was character assassination on live television. Jennifer took a deep breath, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Jimmy, I don't know who fed you these lies or what your agenda is tonight, but this is completely inappropriate. You're using your platform to spread malicious rumors without any verification. Without verification? Kimmel laughed coldly. I have the statements right here. Would you like me to read them out loud? How about this one from a makeup artist who says you made her redo your makeup 7 times because you didn't like how your pores looked in the mirror? Stop, Jennifer said quietly, but with steel in her voice. Just stop. This is not journalism. This is not entertainment. This is cruelty. But Kimmel was far from finished. He seemed intoxicated by his own power, by the ability to tear down someone beloved by millions. You know what I find fascinating, Jennifer? How you've managed to convince everyone you're this down-to-earth, relatable person when multiple sources tell me you haven't spoken directly to a crew member in years. That you have your people handle all the peasant interactions. Peasant interactions, Jennifer repeated, her voice rising for the first time. Is that really how you think I view people? Based on anonymous sources who conveniently appeared right. Before I'm promoting a project that competes with your network's programming. The accusation landed, and Kimmel's face darkened. Are you suggesting I'm doing this because of network politics? That's quite an accusation from someone who just claimed to be all about kindness and authenticity. I'm suggesting that you've chosen to ambush me on your show with unsubstantiated claims instead of having a real conversation, Jennifer replied, her composure beginning to crack. This isn't an interview, Jimmy. It's a hit piece. A hit piece? Kimmel scoffed, his voice dripping with condescension. Jennifer, I'm simply asking questions that your fans deserve answers to. Don't you think the people who've supported you all these years have a right to know who you really are behind closed doors? Jennifer's eyes flashed with anger. My fans know exactly who I am. I've been in the public eye for 3 decades. I've done countless interviews, charity work, and maintained relationships with crew members who've become lifelong friends. Your anonymous sources don't erase the thousands of people who've actually worked with me and know the truth. Thousands of people who are probably afraid to speak up, Kimmel interjected, leaning forward aggressively. Fear is a powerful motivator in Hollywood, isn't it? Fear of being blacklisted, fear of losing work, fear of crossing the mighty Jennifer Aniston. The audience had fallen completely silent now, the tension in the studio palpable. Some people shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others watched with morbid fascination as the train wreck unfolded. You're painting me as some kind of tyrant, Jennifer said, her voice trembling with controlled fury. Based on what? Anonymous statements that could have been written by anyone? Have you verified a single one of these claims? Have you spoken to any of my actual colleagues who would be happy to tell you the truth? Kimmel waved his hand dismissively. Oh, I'm sure you have your loyal supporters. Every dictator does. But what about the little people who don't have a voice? The ones who can't afford to speak publicly because they know what happens to people who cross you? This is insane, Jennifer said, shaking her head in disbelief. You're creating a narrative out of thin air. Where is this coming from, Jimmy? We've known each other for years. We've laughed together at industry events. What changed? What made you decide to do this? What changed is that I got tired of the facade, Kimmel responded, his mask of civility finally slipping completely. Tired of watching everyone worship at the altar of Jennifer Aniston while ignoring the stories that circulate about you. Someone needs to have the courage to ask the hard questions. Hard questions based on lies, Jennifer countered. You want to talk about courage? How about the courage to fact-check your sources before destroying someone's reputation on national television? How about the courage to admit that you're doing this for ratings? Kimmel's face reddened. Ratings? You think this is about ratings? This is about truth. This is about accountability. This is about showing America that their sweetheart isn't as sweet as she pretends to be. You keep saying that, but you haven't presented a single piece of credible evidence, Jennifer shot back. Just anonymous accusations that anyone could have made up. Is this what your show has become? A platform for spreading gossip and destroying careers? Destroying careers? Kimmel laughed bitterly. Your career is bulletproof, Jennifer. You could murder someone on live TV and people would still love you. That's the problem. You're untouchable, and it's made you arrogant. Arrogant? Jennifer stood up abruptly, her patience finally exhausted. You want to talk about arrogance? You invited me on your show under false pretenses, ambushed me with fabricated stories, and now you're calling me arrogant for defending myself. This is exactly why people are losing faith in media, Jimmy. Because of stunts like this. Sit down, Kimmel commanded, his voice sharp. We're not done here. Yes, we are, Jennifer replied firmly. I came here in good faith to have a conversation, to share my work with your audience. Instead, you've chosen to use your platform to spread malicious lies. I won't be a part of this anymore. If you walk off this stage, you're just proving my point, Kimmel called after her as she turned to leave. Running away when things get tough. Is that what you do to crew members who displease you? Just walk away and let your people handle the fallout. Jennifer stopped and turned back, her face a mask of controlled rage. You know what, Jimmy? I feel sorry for you. I really do. Whatever has made you this bitter, this cruel, I hope you find peace with it. But I won't stand here and let you use me as a punching bag for whatever personal demons you're wrestling with. Personal demons? Kimmel stood up as well, his voice rising. The only demon here is the truth about who you really are, and if you can't handle that truth being exposed, then maybe you should examine why these stories exist in the first place. These stories exist because people like you give them oxygen, Jennifer said, her voice cutting through the studio like a blade. Because controversy sells, and tearing down successful women is a sport in this industry. You've shown your true colors tonight, Jimmy, and I think your audience sees it too. The camera panned to the audience, many of whom looked deeply uncomfortable. Some were shaking their heads in disapproval, clearly siding with Jennifer. Others seemed shocked by the unprecedented confrontation unfolding before them. My audience deserves honesty, Kimmel insisted, but his voice had lost some of its earlier confidence. They deserve to know that the people they admire might not be who they think they are. Your audience deserves better than watching you ambush a guest with unverified gossip, Jennifer responded. They deserve actual journalism, not this tabloid theater you're putting on. You've turned your show into everything people hate about. Media, Jimmy. Sensationalism over substance, cruelty over conversation. You still haven't denied the specific allegations, Kimmel pointed out, grasping for some kind of victory. If they're all lies, why not address them directly? Because I don't dignify anonymous slander with responses, Jennifer said with dignity. Because engaging with every piece of gossip only gives it credibility it doesn't deserve. My work speaks for itself. The people who actually know me speak for themselves. I don't need to defend myself against phantoms you've conjured up for ratings. Phantoms, Kimmel repeated sarcastically. Right. Just like the phantom assistant who quit after you berated her for getting your lunch order wrong, or the phantom makeup artist who said you made her cry 3 times in 1 week. You're pathetic, Jennifer said quietly, and somehow the soft delivery made the words hit harder. You've taken what should have been a platform for bringing joy and entertainment to people and turned it into a weapon. You've betrayed not just me, but everyone who trusts you to be better than this. The studio atmosphere had become suffocating, the tension so thick it seemed to press down on everyone present. Jennifer's composure, which had held remarkably well throughout the assault, was finally beginning to crack in earnest. Her hands trembled slightly as she faced Kimmel, who seemed to be feeding off the chaos he had created. Because responding to every piece of gossip only legitimizes it, Jennifer continued, her voice hoarse from the emotional strain. But since you seem determined to destroy my reputation tonight, let me be crystal clear about something, Jimmy. Every single allegation you've made is false. Every anonymous source you're hiding behind is either lying or doesn't exist at all. Bold words from someone who's about to storm off my stage, Kimmel taunted, clearly enjoying what he perceived as his victory. If you're so innocent, why don't you stay and defend yourself properly? Why don't you address each allegation specifically? Because I shouldn't have to, Jennifer shot back, her voice rising with renewed strength. Because the burden of proof is on the accuser, not the accused. Because in any civilized society, people are innocent until proven guilty. But you've already convicted me in your mind, haven't you? You've already decided I'm guilty of these fabricated crimes. Kimmel leaned back in his chair, a cruel smile playing across his lips. You know what I think, Jennifer? I think you're scared. I think for the first time in your charmed life, someone is asking the hard questions and you don't know how to handle it. You're used to softball interviews and fawning journalists. You're not used to someone actually challenging you. Challenging? Me? Jennifer's laugh was sharp and bitter. This isn't a challenge, Jimmy. This is an ambush. This is professional assassination. There's nothing brave or journalistic about what you're doing. You're hiding behind your desk, behind your audience, behind your anonymous sources, taking shots at someone who came here in good faith. Good faith, Kimmel scoffed. Like the good faith you showed that makeup artist when you allegedly threw a coffee cup at her because she used the wrong shade of foundation. Oh yes, I have that story too. Multiple witnesses, actually. Jennifer's face went pale, but her voice remained steady. That never happened. That story is completely fabricated, and if you have witnesses, I demand you produce them right now. I demand you give me their names so I can confront these lies directly. And give you the chance to intimidate them? To use your power and influence to silence them? Kimmel shook his head mockingly. I don't think so. These people are under enough pressure already. They don't need the Jennifer Aniston machine coming after them. The Jennifer Aniston machine, Jennifer repeated incredulously. Do you hear yourself? You're talking about me like I'm some kind of mob boss instead of an actress who spent 3 decades trying to entertain people. You've created this fantasy version of me in your head, this villain that doesn't exist. Doesn't exist? Kimmel pulled out another sheet of paper. What about the time you allegedly had an entire catering company fired because they didn't have organic almond milk? The whole crew went without lunch that day because of your tantrum. Does that sound familiar? It sounds like complete fiction, Jennifer replied firmly. I'm lactose intolerant, Jimmy, not a monster. I've never had anyone fired over food preferences. The fact that you keep using the word allegedly should tell you everything you need to know about the reliability of these stories. I use allegedly for legal reasons, Kimmel said dismissively. But we both know the truth. We both know that behind that America's sweetheart facade is someone who treats people like they're beneath her. Someone who's forgotten what it's like to be human. The audience was becoming visibly uncomfortable now. Many people were whispering among themselves, and some had actually gotten up to leave. The usual energy of a talk show had been replaced by something much darker and more disturbing. You want to talk about being human? Jennifer's voice cracked with emotion. Let me tell you what's human, Jimmy. What's human is making mistakes. Sometimes. Having bad days. Being imperfect. What's not human is what you're doing right now. What's not human is using your platform to systematically destroy someone based on lies and rumors. So you admit you've had bad days on set? Kimmel pounced on her words like a predator. You admit you've made mistakes with how you've treated people? I admit I'm human, Jennifer said, tears now flowing freely down her face. I admit that I've probably been short with people when I was tired or stressed. I admit that I'm not perfect, but being imperfect doesn't make me the monster you're painting me as. Having human flaws doesn't justify this character assassination. Character assassination, Kimmel repeated, seeming to savor the phrase. Is that what we're calling accountability now? Is holding celebrities responsible for their actions now considered character assassination? When it's based on lies, yes, Jennifer said firmly. When it's done without evidence, without fairness, without basic human decency, yes. You haven't held me accountable for anything real, Jimmy. You've created a narrative and then attacked me for fitting it. I didn't create anything, Kimmel insisted, but for the first time his voice sounded less confident. I just reported what people told me. I just asked the questions that needed to be asked. No, you didn't report anything, Jennifer corrected him. Reporting involves investigation, verification, giving both sides a chance to be heard. What you did was collect gossip and present it as fact. What you did was judge me guilty before I even sat down in this chair. The silence that followed was deafening. Even Kimmel seemed to realize that the interview had spiraled completely out of control. The usual rhythms of television had been shattered, replaced by something raw and uncomfortable that no one seemed to know how to handle. You know what the really tragic thing is? Jennifer said quietly, wiping the tears from her cheeks. I genuinely respected you, Jimmy. I thought you were better than this. I thought you understood the responsibility that comes with having a platform like this. But you've shown me tonight that power corrupts everyone eventually. Don't lecture me about power, Kimmel snapped. But his earlier confidence was clearly shaken. You're the one with the power here. You're the one with the influence, the connections, the ability to make or break careers. I'm just a talk show host, asking questions. You're just a talk show host, destroying lives, Jennifer countered. You're just a person who's forgotten that the people you interview are human beings, with feelings, with families, with reputations. That matter. You've turned cruelty into entertainment, and that's unforgivable. If you can't handle the heat, maybe you shouldn't have gotten into show business, Kimmel said, falling back on cliches as his position weakened. I can handle criticism, Jimmy, Jennifer said with dignity. I can handle tough questions, challenging interviews, even negative reviews. What I can't handle is malicious lies being presented as truth. What I can't handle is being ambushed by someone I trusted. Trusted, Kimmel laughed, but it sounded forced now. That's your mistake right there. Trust is a luxury in this business. Everyone's looking out for themselves. And that's exactly the problem, Jennifer said sadly. That's exactly why this industry is so toxic. Because people like you have created an environment where trust is seen as weakness, where kindness is seen as fake, where success is seen as something that needs to be punished. The conversation had reached a point where there was nowhere left to go. The damage had been done, the lines had been crossed, and there was no path back to civility or professional courtesy. I'm done, Jennifer announced, standing up with as much dignity as she could muster. I'm done being your punching bag. I'm done participating in whatever this was supposed to be. Your audience deserves better than this, Jimmy. You deserve better than this. But most importantly, I deserve better than this. Walk away then, Kimmel called after her, making one last desperate attempt to maintain some semblance of control. Prove my point. Show everyone what happens when Princess Jennifer doesn't get her way. Jennifer paused at the edge of the stage, looking back one final time. The only thing I'm proving, Jimmy, is that I have enough self-respect to refuse to be abused on national television. I hope someday you remember what it felt like to be kind. As she walked off the stage, the audience sat in stunned silence. The cameras continued rolling, capturing Kimmel's face as he realized the magnitude of what had just transpired. The usual outro music didn't play. The credits didn't roll. For several long, uncomfortable moments, everyone just sat there, processing what they had witnessed. The confrontation was over, but its impact was just beginning. This wasn't just a failed interview or a celebrity meltdown. This was a moment that would define both careers, a line in the sand that could never be uncrossed. What did you think of this unprecedented confrontation between Jennifer Aniston and Jimmy Kimmel? Do you believe talk show hosts should be held accountable when they cross ethical lines in their interviews? Hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments below what you think really motivated Kimmel's shocking behavior that night.